Now, the EFF wants to introduce amendments to liquor laws, including a ban on adverts for alcohol. Do you think such ads should be stopped? Well, Parliament is inviting the public to have its say on the matter. Free Market Foundation Executive Director Louw joins us now in studio to discuss the implications of this. Mr. Louw, thank you very much for your time. So, should alcohol adverts be banned or not? And if so, what impact will it have? Will it change people's attitudes?
Well, the evidence from around the world is that it won't change anybody's attitudes or the level of consumption. What it might actually do is increase consumption, because if there's no advertising, there's more money in the hands of the liquor providers. At the moment, they spend money advertising. That keeps sport and magazines and newspapers and TV stations like this going. And if it's banned, then we're going to have more, we're going to need less money to be collected. In other words, liquor could be sold more cheaply and therefore result in increased consumption. But that's actually not the point. I'm very surprised that the EFF has introduced this, because the EFF is supposed to represent low-income, mainly black South Africans. And this prohibition, if it happens, would be targeted really at the poor, because of a very simple reason. The purpose of advertising is, as Section 16 of the Constitution says, freedom of expression to impart and receive information. That is, to impart and receive information of where people can buy the product they want, what specials are on offer, what prices are on offer. The people for whom that is most important are the poor, and the businesses for whom it's most important are the small, informal, semi-formal businesses in townships which provide liquor. Those are the ones who need to be able to impart the information, in other words, advertise, where liquor is available and what's available and at what prices.
But the other argument on the flip side of that would be that these alcohol adverts are made to look sexy. You also made to look successful when you see the alcohol ad. So how is that to the benefit of the poor community?
Well, the benefit of the poor community is their freedom of choice. And this nanny state idea that somebody else should decide for you how to live your life, if you accept it as a principle regarding liquor, and it was unfortunately accepted as a principle regarding tobacco, there is no further principled argument against any invasion of personal lifestyle choice and values. For example, being obese, overweight, is more unhealthy than drinking alcohol or tobacco. Being sedentary, not exercising, having unprotected sex. Where will this stop? Sugar, salt, baby food, anything. And if you allow the state to tell people, especially poor people, how to live their lives, and you require them to be healthy pieces of meat, instead of healthy human beings with feelings and psychology and emotion, enjoying themselves over a drink and a puff and watching soccer, then you are causing a complete invasion of the quality of life of people. That's what matters, not whether you're a healthy piece of meat.
So, how then do you effectively manage the use of alcohol so that it doesn't get to the point of abuse, and particularly in poor communities, because the prevalence of alcohol-induced dangers to society, it starts with alcohol in many of these instances. People drink and drive. People abuse their wives at home because when they come back drunk, the children know that dad will possibly abuse mom tonight because he's come back home drunk. How do you address that effectively?
Well, firstly, let's be very clear about something. The overwhelming majority of people who consume alcohol are responsible, decent citizens who do not abuse and do not commit crime and do not drive drunk. What you do is you target the people who do commit crime. That's a criminal problem, not a drinking problem. And if they commit the crime for some other reason, they're just aggressive, or they had a fight, or they had a dare, or they discovered something.
Well, how many instances have you heard where someone says, I'm sorry, I was drunk, I didn't know what I was doing?
No, but then that should not be a mitigating factor, as it used to be long ago in law, but is no longer. It should be an aggravating factor. For example, drunk driving is an aggravating factor. You used to long ago be able to use it as a defense and say, I had impaired responsibility. You can't anymore. But what we have to do is say, you may not punch my nose. That's all we need to know. Whether you do it when you're drunk, frankly, if you do it when you're drunk, I've got a better chance of defending myself. I'd rather when you attack me or commit a crime or do a burglary or do a robbery or start a pub fight or whatever, I would prefer you to be drunk. because then you're likely to be less dangerous and less harmful. In fact, if you're completely drunk, then I can just push you over and you'll fall on the floor.
Louw, thank you very much for your time. He is with the Free Market Foundation. Thanks indeed for making the time to studio today.